Right now, I'm eating a crisp. Now I've finished eating my crisp, and I can tell you that I won the 11-12 Lyon Soumer.
Woo! And what year is it?
This year is year 2011.
That's me, a 12-year-old who had a dream of becoming a professional tennis player. I had just won 2 tournaments on a family holiday, and it was my first glimpse of what it might be like to travel the world playing like a pro. And over the next 13 years, I've had the same thought going through my head every day.
Tennis, 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 tennis.
Alright, so I've just turned 25 and I have 0 ATP points. Let's talk about it. So I had my first tennis lesson from a young age, but I didn't really start taking tennis seriously until I was around 8 or 9, where I'd started doing tournaments within the UK and start trying to climb up the junior tennis rankings. I have this really clear memory of being a reserve for this Orange Ball tournament in the UK, where I turned up and I was just trying to see if I would get in, because I was like 1 or 2 out and just waiting to see if a couple of people wouldn't show up. And I was looking around, I was looking at all these like 8-year-olds who are my age playing on these courts, on the orange courts, and just hitting the ball so well, and I was really mind blown with the level that was out there. And that was the first real glimpse I had of how far off the pace I was for my age. And throughout the time where I was playing junior tennis, I had this feeling that I really wanted to catch up with people that are my age and really get to the top of the country and catch up with those kids that were playing for GB. And this isn't to say I was bad at tennis. I was playing a lot of matches, winning tournaments. I ended up playing number 2 for my county. I think when someone asks you how good are you at tennis, it's really just relative. Relative to the top kids in the world my age, then I wasn't that good. But if I was compared to your average school kid or your average club player, then I was very good. But if you think about it, to make a living from playing tennis competitively, you have to at least be inside the top 300 to be breaking even with your expenses, and then inside the top 100 and playing Grand Slams to really be getting that high level money and really make a proper earning from tennis. If we work backwards from that, out of those 100 players, there's probably around over 10 different age groups that you're looking at inside that top 100, from people who are just breaking through between the ages of like 18 and 22, all the way up to people who are like 35 playing their top 100. So there's a massive age gap in that top 100. So that just shows that you don't just have to be top in your region for your age, you have to be top in the country for your age. And then out of all those people that are top in the country, you have to be really top in the world for your age group to be on track to get to that top 100 and playing that Grand Slam level. And then if you're in those group of people, you have to be really at the top of the pack of those people, because it's essentially the best players in the world for their age across 10 different age groups inside that top 100. So when you look at those chances of becoming a professional tennis player and earning a lot of money from tennis, playing all those Grand Slams, your chances are pretty slim. But being half American, it was instilled in me from a young age that you have to dream big. And I have the belief that you should chase those dreams, and if you believe it, then you can do it. So going back to when I was a kid, just even to have a shot at becoming a professional level, I needed to find a place where I could have coaches that took people to that level before. So that was where I found Bisham Abbey National Sports Centre, and luckily it wasn't too far away from where I lived. And at the time that I was around 10 or 11, they had Carl Edmond there and Harriet Dart, who both made it to the very top of the game. So this is where we decided to let my tennis develop. And throughout my childhood, I really made tennis a priority in my life, getting ahead on schoolwork, taking school exams years early, not doing social stuff with friends as much as other kids, and really spending most of my week training and then on the weekends playing tournaments. But these were sacrifices that all tennis players have to make when they're growing up, and I enjoyed it, and if I could go back, I wouldn't change it for anything. So if we fast forward to when I was 18, I got to a level where I was qualifying for men's national tournaments within the UK, and I got my level up to an 11.8 UTR. And then at that time, the UK rating system, I was a 1.2. And although this was a great achievement for me, I was still way off where I needed to be if I wanted to be on track to go to that top 100 ATP. So it would have been silly to try and pursue that dream straight away, and it was always the plan for me to go to university, as I've always placed a big value on education, and I love school and learning new things. So it was just a toss-up between whether I went to a US college and did the system there, or if I stayed in the UK and went to one of the universities here. And I ended up deciding to stay in the UK, and the university that I went to was quite close to Bisham Abbey. So I continued training there, and during this time I got my LTA coaching qualifications so that I could start coaching there as well and start earning some money and some savings. The plan was that whilst I was at university, I I would start competing on the future circuit to try and test the water and see what the level was like, but mainly to play national British Tour tournaments and try and increase my level so that I could bring that gap between where I was when I was 18 at 11.8 UTR and try and increase it by a couple points so that I was at a level where I could compete with those pros on the future circuit and try and play for my first ATP point. But as most things in life, it doesn't always go to plan, and I had 3 major setbacks at this point. The first one was the same for everyone, and that was obviously the COVID pandemic, and the whole country was locked down. I couldn't travel or train or do anything, and this was at the exact moment where I was like really finishing my degree, and I was about to go out and start competing on the future circuit and playing loads of tournaments. But I had to stay at home and just focus hard on university, and ended up finishing my degree. And the second setback was a pretty big one, but I don't have time or / don't really want to go through it in this video, but I might go through it at a later date. But just for the context of the story, it made my ranking go down loads. I was losing loads of matches and I literally just couldn't compete well on the match court. And then that leads me on to the third setback. And if you've been watching the channel right from the start, you'll know this one. But long story short, there was a period of time where I really wasn't sure what was going on with my heart. I had quite a lot of issues with it, and I didn't know if I was ever going to really play tennis again, how long it would take me to recover. And then also on a more serious level, I didn't know if there was any serious problems with it. So it was quite a big moment for me in my life, and it really put perspective on tennis and my whole life in general. And the biggest takeaway from that for me was I just really realised that tennis is just a game, and my health and my family are actually the most important things in life. And then having this realisation and coming back to playing tennis afterwards, it's just made me enjoy the sport even more than I did before, because I'm just way more relaxed and just know that it's not the be all and end all of everything, and it's just a game that I want to improve and have fun at and try and climb the rankings with. But after spending the last few years recovering from these setbacks, I've been doing a lot more coaching. In the last 2 or 3 years, I've really upped those hours, and I've learned so much from coaching different kids and learning from the other coaches at Delgado and Lee at Bisham. It's helped improve my game to the next level, and I have an understanding of tennis in a way that I never had before. So now, after getting back on the match court for coming up to almost a year now, I feel like I've got back to that level that I was at when I was younger. Even if my ranking doesn't reflect it right now, I definitely feel like a much stronger player, much more knowledgeable, and I definitely feel like I'm more mature and able to approach the future circuit in a better way than I was before. So after all of this, now is really the time for me to live out my childhood dream, try and become a professional tennis player and chase down my first ATP points, something that I've been wanting for over the last 6 years now. Now is the time where I'm really going to go for it and give everything I have to try and get it. As long as I'm physically able to and I don't die or anything, I'm definitely in this for the long haul. I definitely see myself competing hopefully for the next 10 years.
How have you got on at Luke Sumer, Cameron?
Great. I'm in the final. Woohoo!